Price tester? I barely know her. All right. I believe most ecom brands have a flawed methodology when it comes to setting their prices. The most common method is to rely on a target gross margin goal when choosing how to price your products. Let's say your product costs you $25 and you want a 75% gross margin, so you priced it at $100. What you're optimizing for there is profit per order or profit per unit sold. But that's a mistake. Optimizing for profit per unit sold incorrectly assumes that one price point will produce an identical amount of units sold to another. And after a year of religiously testing our prices at Original Grain, I have the data to prove that's just not true. More importantly, I have the data to prove that because of our price testing work, we've increased our conversion rate, our average order value, we've decreased our CAC, we've seen massive gains in our revenue and profit per session, and ultimately we're adding so many more dollars to our bottom line. It all starts with relentlessly chasing price market fit. Now, most founders of startups are solely focused on product market fit, and that can be a good thing. You can't get anywhere without having a product people want. But the very next step needs to be chasing price or offer market fit. Because there's plenty of products that people might want, but they wouldn't buy them if they weren't priced correctly. Here's an example. I buy this can of Red Bull from the 7-Eleven by my house for like $2.70. If it cost $5, I'd still buy the same exact amount. If it cost $10, and I don't mean to flex that hard, but I could justify spending $10 a day on Red Bull. But if this can of Red Bull costs $100, I wouldn't get it. I'd just do a little bit of Coke every morning. The soda, not the. See, even me, a Red Bull loyalist, evangelist, and what some would call an addict, at a high enough price, I'd quit Red Bull and I'd never look back. I'd just become a full-blown cokehead. Again, the soft drink. Please get your mind out of the 8-ball, guys. What I'm trying to say is that a great product is only great if the price is right. A great product is only great if it's priced at a level where people will buy it and buy it again. So if you found your product market fit, here's the step-by-step instructions on how to find price market fit. First, if you're a new brand, take a look around at your category. See what competitor prices are like. Be honest with yourself about the uniqueness and the quality of your product. Does it deserve to be priced at the same level of existing products in the industry? Is it a little bit better? Is it a little bit worse? Answer that question honestly and come up with a baseline price. Let's say most products in your category are $90, but you think you're just a little bit better. Let's set the baseline at $100. If you're an existing brand and want to start price testing, just use your current prices as the baseline. The first step, phase 1 of price testing, should start with a 3-tiered approach. The first tier of pricing should be set 20% higher than your baseline. The second tier, the middle tier, should be set at your baseline, and the third tier should be set 10% below. I like to be a little more conservative when we're testing lower because I think it's easier to decrease price than it is to walk it back and increase down the road. So I'd rather go a little slower in that direction. So let's stick with this $100 example for easy math. If your baseline price is $100, we'd set up price tests at $120, $100, and $90. Again, like I mentioned, this is just phase 1 of dialing in your best price. We're going to launch this test, and after it reaches statistical significance, we're going to use these results to guide us in phase 2 of price testing because we're not done yet. The first test is purely directional. The winning price at the end of this test probably won't be the best price for you just yet, but it gives us a direction to start testing more granularly into to discover that perfect price. Now, when it comes to measuring the results of this, I use profit per site session as our North Star metric. We already discussed measuring the effectiveness of a price by, just gross margin or just profit per order is flawed. So we use profit per site session because it does take into account your margins, but it also takes into account the conversion rate produced by each pricing tier. So it's a summary. It's the perfect balance between that product's take rate and your gross margin. So that's why we use it as our North Star metric. So once you figure out which price test from phase 1 produced the highest profit per session, we're going to start phase 2. If a higher price one, in this case $120, phase 2 should aim to fill in the gaps that might have been missed in phase 1. So we would test at 130, 120, and 110. If the baseline price of $100 won, you'd get more granular around that. You would test maybe 110, 105, 195. If the lowest price won the first test, so that $90 price point, then we continue to test in that direction. We test 95, 90, and 85. Now, at the end of phase 2, you might have the perfect price. If any other price besides the absolute highest or the absolute lowest test you ran won, then you can safely set that as the winning price for the current quarter or the current promotional sales period and move on to other tasks. But if that highest price won or if that lowest price won, then we're not done yet. See, let's say after phase 2, $130 was the winning price. You need to know if that's the ceiling or not. We're going to continue to test higher. We test 130, 135, and 140. On the other hand, if that lowest price test of $85 won, we'd continue in that direction as well. We'd test 85, 80, and 75. We would repeat this process until we found the price that produces the highest profit per site session. Now, this might be the most impactful thing I'll say in this episode. Whichever price wins, higher or lower, you need to learn from that, and you need to make changes to your business accordingly. If a higher price won, you need to be ready to scale your paid advertising efforts, even if you have a slightly higher CAC than you're used to, because you don't want new customer acquisition to slow down. You need to nurture that customer who's now paying a higher price. You need to make sure the quality of your product, your packaging, your post-purchase communication, your customer experience and service, those all need to now match the newer price you've set yourself in the market. Because again, all we've been able to measure up to this point is how fast people are buying it and the profit it nets you when people come to your website. We have not yet begun to measure what happens next. Are people happy when they get your product? Do they think that higher $130 price point was worth it once they experience with it? These are honest, hard conversations you need to have with yourself as a brand. If a lower price won, you need to go to your suppliers and tell them that you're going to be able to buy in larger quantities than ever before, but you need a little break on your COGS. You need a little bulk discount when you're ordering your next batch of inventory. You need to have your post-purchase flows and your retention marketing efforts dialed in, because a lower price is going to increase the velocity of new customer acquisition. So you'll be able to feel the compounding benefit of repeat purchases faster if you're dialed in on those areas. Both higher and lower prices can be great news for your business. You should not approach this with a preference. I can tell you firsthand that a mix of higher and lower priced products winning can actually be amazing for you. In the last year, we've had both cases happen across our catalog. But dialing in each collection and each product perfectly means we've improved nearly every metric that matters to us. Our CAC is lower, our conversion rate's higher, our revenue per session's higher, our AOV has actually gotten 1% better. All those things are adding up to massive top and bottom line growth in back-to-back years. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that price testing has been one of the most impactful levers to grow our business profitably in the last year. But there is a catch. It never ends. In my 368 days of price testing experience, I looked at the calendar. That's when we first signed up for IntelliGems to start this price testing process. The prices that won in last Q3 are not the same prices that won in Q4. The prices that won this year in Q1, which we would usually think is similar to last Q3, were different. The prices that just won for our Father's Day sale were not the same prices that won for our Christmas sale. So we repeat this 3-phased approach to price testing every quarter and every promotional period to make sure we stay in tune with what the market is determining as the perfect price for that moment in time. Buyer behavior is going to change. The American economy is going to change. The value of the dollar has changed. In our industry, watch prices are coming down. Trends in your category can and should play a role in this. Now, you can either try to guess and keep up with the trends and keep up with inflation and keep up with whatever you think is going on in the industry, or you can repeat this simple 3-phased approach to price testing every quarter like we do. Now, if you don't know how to set up a price test, check out today's sponsor. Like I said, a year ago, I was searching for a solution to help us do this because I felt price was one of the biggest levers we could pull in our marketing department, but I didn't know how to fairly create A/B tests. Then I heard about IntelliGems, and I've been a paying customer and proud supporter for a year now, long before they ever sponsored my podcast. I'm such a big fan of them that they are the only company I accepted sponsorship money for the first season of this show, because I knew that episodes 3 and episode 5 and episode 9 and episode 12 were all going to be about testing prices and content and offers on our website, and I couldn't do any of those things without IntelliGems. So go check them out. Yes, they are paying me to sponsor this podcast, but it's about as unbiased as a recommendation that you can possibly get. And if you don't believe me, go to my Twitter, search from @NateLagos how many times I've said the word IntelliGems in the last year. You'll see me recommending it to people as early as last October, when I was still brand new to the platform and didn't even have a show for them to sponsor. So go to intelligems.io. Prices start, I think, at just $100 a month. There's no long-term contracts. It is an amazing tool that's helped us execute these detailed and highly impactful price tests. That's it. Thanks for listening to another episode of Tactical and Practical. Please go test the prices of your best-selling products on your site. I guarantee you the results are going to be very impactful. Thanks. I'll see you next time.